Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out to the Shoreditch Treehouse tonight. We have a very special program planned with Riopy. We're going to start with a Q&A. So we're going to ask questions about his music, compositions, and of course, meditation is the theme for tonight, and how meditation has affected your music and life. And then after that, we will hear from Riopy live. He's going to be playing Meditation 22, which is one of his newest compositions. It's on his EP recently released called Le Rêve d'une Note.
Thank you.
All right. So let's start with talking about meditation a bit more broadly. There are many different forms of meditation. For example, focused attention versus open monitoring meditation, mindfulness practices, yoga, etc. What is meditation to you, and what forms do you use?
That's a good question, right? It's a kind of a very broad one, so I'll try and be concise. Meditation for me is a way to focus my mind, to try and not get anything out, just to focus, to feel better. That's basically the main thing of what meditation is. The etymology of meditation is meditatio, I think, from Latin, which means to think upon, to reflect. So that's what I'm trying to do when I meditate.
What exactly do you do? Do you have a routine of a system? Do you like yoga and physical forms of meditation? Is it more sitting and calm, a mixture?
Well, that's the thing. Like, when I heard about meditation, first of all, I thought the term is a bit overused and the content is a bit undermined. So it was a bit boring, you say meditation, it's like, yeah, I know meditation. But then I started to kind of look into it when I was reading a lot about science, actually. And then step by step, I got really into this exercise of listening, to my breathing. So, I mean, yeah, some people might do yoga or whatever, but for me, I wasn't really interested in all this kind of stuff at the beginning, more about my brain, how can I heal, my brain, or I can feel better, be happy, because I was not really happy. So, yeah.
That's interesting. So how did you first discover meditation? That might kind of tie in with what you're talking about with finding happiness through meditation. What were your early experiences like?
I think it was more when, and I think that some people can relate to that, when sometimes, your life is not really happy, that you go, through a lot of stuff, and I think we all do, and sometimes we don't look at it because we don't have time. We're so busy, with life and friends, family, work, especially work, right? We all work and we have to, it's a busy life, and I'm not going to go into social media and, so many things we get, in every day. And for me, first of all, my kind of upbringing was a bit tough, like so many people, and I tried at the time to deal with it with, like a bit of excess of alcohol or marijuana or some stuff to try and feel good, and it didn't really work out. Like, it kind of never really worked out, actually. And then one day I, looked into it, started to do it, like a training, like a piano training. I don't know if anyone plays the piano, people don't, but when you want to try and do something new, you need to have a plan and a lot of discipline. And I think what I did was, okay, I'm going to try that, and I'm not going to try and meditate just being like, I don't know, like a bird. That didn't make sense. That's fine. But more like sit down, one technique, and do it every day. And I started to do it every day for like weeks and then months. And I started feeling better. I started feeling happier, and then I went into the science of it and looked at, actually it does work on my brain, on a physical level, not just an emotional level. And I found that it was fascinating, because we don't really know much about that. And that's a new era, I think, of findings, in neuroscience, and that's so exciting.
Exactly. And so many people, so many studies have proven that meditation has so many benefits, physical and mental, with stress relief, with better sleeping, and all of those things. Have you found some of those benefits personally through meditation?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Before I couldn't really sleep. I was a bit insomniac. Now I sleep much better. It's not just sleep, it's actually when you look at like, what does it do? It changes our brain waves. You know, we have brain waves, and those brain waves, right now I talk, I'm probably in a beta wave, so which means, you know, my brain is functioning a lot. But when you relax, you are in alpha wave. And then when you sleep, the rapid eye movement is more theta wave, I think. And then the dreamless is delta waves. And this, we can actually measure them with fMRI or EEG, you know, which is an electroencephalogram. And that's really fascinating because we can see that in our brain, a lot of stuff is happening, and we can alter this, you know. So when we are focused on something, when we are trying to relax, you actually, you know, do something to your brain as well. Mm-hmm. Did I answer the question?
Yeah. Do you think that that's affects your creative process then with composing music?
For sure. I mean, I remember a friend of mine, a composer friend of mine, who was a bit of a mentor to me. That was like 10 years ago. Wow, time flies. Told me, how can you compose with all the stress you have? And I said to him, think about what I'm going to compose when I'm not going to have stress anymore. Because in my mind, I was always like, one day I'm not going to be stressed. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be, you know, chilled. I'm probably still not there, but working, you know, towards and much better than 10 years ago. But probably the age as well, I guess.
Where did you find your inspiration to compose Meditation 22?
So it's a mix of different stories for Meditation 22. First, the term 22 is a kind of a mix between neuroplasticity, which is, you know, 20 minutes, you know, they say when you do something, you know, 20 minutes, you know, it starts, you know, and the repetition of it, and then the catch 22, you know, that we all know this term, right? And I thought it's interesting because a catch 22 is a bit like if you say, you need to be relaxed to meditate, right? That's the whole point of meditating, right? Is to try and be relaxed. So you cannot be relaxed first, perhaps, you know, to meditate, if you see what I mean. So I thought that was interesting, you know, to have this kind of, link. Mm-hmm. And basically, when my wife was actually pregnant, that's where I started to think for the baby to have something very soothing, right? Mm-hmm. And I was thinking of that. And then I was thinking about the emails from, you know, different fans I've been receiving, and quite a few from actually doctors, you know, and people were saying, hey, this is, you know, helping a lot with my patients and stuff. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. But how? Maybe I can make one piece that could, you know, be a bit longer. At least we have time to focus on it and help to, you know, to relax. So that's how I came into the idea. Okay, let's, you know, create a piece like that. And for the process of it, I was thinking about, you know, hypnosis. When in hypnosis, you need repetition, because repetition is what, you know, is going to help you train in pretty much anything, right? I mean, if you want to be good at something, you need to repeat. Sometimes it's a bit boring, but it really helps. So I created this thing where a BPM between 70 and 90 roughly, which is a bit, you know, the heart rate, right? And this note, which is an A, that's going to be just repeating itself. And then a melody is going to come in to help you keep, you know, the focus. So it comes from the right and the left hand, you know, the bass. So, and then you go back to this one note that is always, you know, ongoing through the piece.
Mm-hmm. When I listen to it, I feel like it really starts on that note and it organically builds itself. Was that what it was like for you when you were writing the piece? Did it feel like it was coming organically, or was it something you thought about a little bit more beforehand?
That's interesting, because when we, I guess, I mean, I don't know about any other musicians, but when we create something, it comes from a part of us that we don't really know, mm-hmm. because we create, we invent, right? So the intellectual part is where, you know, you can analyze and stuff, that's the intellect. But how do you create with your intellect, right? I mean, it's a bit tricky. I don't know how to create, you know what I mean? If you ask me, oh, like, can you like intellectualize the way you create? It's a bit tough, and that's what I try to do with meditation, having the heart of, you know, this kind of, like, I would say, all these emotions of kindness, of like something, you know, mellow, something, you know, that can just relaxes you and make you feel good. And then with the intellect of having these techniques, you know, of like mm-hmm. hypnosis and trying to have, you know, the length and all of that. Mm-hmm. Okay. What was the question again? That was the question.
That was perfect. Do you find that meditation has had an effect on your playing as well as your composition when you play music?
Well, that's an interesting one because that's I guess it's a bit tough to answer that because when you play, I think when you play, hopefully you're in it, right? So sometimes when I play, I'm even like in trance. If I have someone coming in and making some noise, I might jump, from 1 feet or something because you're so focused. And I guess everyone, when we're so focused on something, then you can just be a bit like. But it did affect because before. I could never have even like talked in front of you guys like even 10 years ago. I was like really extremely shy and pardon my French, but really fucked up. So it was a bit. It would have been really tough. And my gigs, I needed something before going on stage. So I tried a lot of things. That's not really good, but like in excess. Because alcohol is there is nothing wrong with alcohol. It's probably something wrong with me when I was drinking. For example, 10 years ago in Oxford, I think it was my first gig at Jacqueline Dupré building when I had, it was my first gig, and I was like, I was young and the room was actually full. So that was a bit like, oh my God, that's, And I drank half of a bottle of whiskey. I got so drunk, went on stage, and then I put my hands and I became deaf. Deaf.
Wow.
I couldn't hear anything, like literally, physically, I was deaf. And I was like, oh my God. So just watching my hand, and I knew what I was doing because of my hands, I knew what, but I couldn't hear anything. And that was one of the worst experiences I had because I was like, oh my God, that's just terrible. And then by playing step by step, after like, I don't know, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I started to come back a little bit, and that was horrible. And I had a lot of experiences like this when, it didn't make me happy. Now, I'm actually okay, Like, I'm gonna go ahead and play for you in a bit, and it's like, hopefully it's gonna be mellow.
Do you meditate just before you perform, or do you find that just the repetition of meditating every day has just affected your performances because of that?
For sure. Well, I think it affected me as a human being, I understand more. I think, when you create, I don't know, not just when you create, I think we probably all creative, if you think about it, but sometimes we have problems, right? We all have problems, we all have issues.
Exactly.
And that's why for me, I found a way which is, meditate twice a day, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, and I feel much better. So it affects my music and the way I can behave in society.
Would you recommend other musicians look to meditation as a source of inspiration and creativity?
It's a tough one, I don't want to recommend anything because but it worked for me, and I think it would work probably for a lot of people. I don't know if it's if you think everything is fine with you, don't. But if you think, I don't know, you're not happy, or you've got, instead of going to the extreme as I do, perhaps you can try some alternative ways of why not? I don't know.
Safe things to do.
Yeah, I think it's.
When you started meditating, did you gravitate towards one particular thing? Like, did you try yoga first, or did you just try completely emptying your mind? Was there something that drew you to it at first that you can maybe recommend to people who might want to start meditating?
I think probably in this room, in a way, we all meditate because if you do something when you're focused on it, it's a kind of meditation, Like, the problem is we especially nowadays, 21st century, we're like so busy that we're doing 1,000 times at once, And sometimes, some people are going to be a bit more affected, and then you go into depression or something, which I guess I got into pretty much everything. But so I think, it would definitely help, You can definitely do, now which form. Yoga helps a lot of people. I do a lot of yoga. I love it. It's true, but I love hot yoga, for example. For me, works. But any kind of sport as well, If if you do a bit of sport, if you do 20 minutes of cycling, really hard, then just afterwards, you feel so good, right? We do. So lots of different things you can do to help yourself. I don't know, being a better person or feeling happier.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, you lost 20 minutes of your life.
Yeah. You can't lose. Okay, so you wanted to say something about meditation as well, just before we play it. We're about to move to that portion.
Yeah, so, well, thank you for coming. You're very silent. That's feel like.
There are people here.
Well, hopefully you can sit comfortably, you know, even on the floor. It's been, you know, the lovely Ross. That's his beautiful place. Made it all shiny and clean. So we're going to turn the light off. And if you can, if you want, basically this composition is 22 minutes, and it's to help to kind of just feel good, right? So the guideline, you don't have to follow it, but you know, I mean, it worked for me, which is probably not a good reference. But if you can close your eyes, by the way, alpha waves are increased when we close our eyes. I don't know if you know that, but I think that's fascinating. If you want to know more, type neurofeedback on Google. Google is your best friend. And close your eyes and focus on that note that I'm going to play from the beginning. And that's this repetitive note. And then your mind will probably wander and go to places, you know, where I probably don't want to know. But then, if you can remember, just go back to that note. It might be a bit tough. It might be great. Hopefully, I hope that you're going to feel really good. You know, and please let me know afterwards. You might fall asleep, but that's the idea. Did I express it well?
Yeah, I think so.
Did you guys, any questions?
No. Excellent.
Well then, I hope you like it. Thank you. Sometimes, you believe your own hype. I was going to fall asleep. Well, I hope you liked it. I hope you could. I know sometimes perhaps it can be a bit obsessive, so maybe a bit annoying for some when you've got this repetition. But in my experience in meditation is when I find something a little bit annoying because it's a bit aggressive, I feel that I'm not there yet in terms of meditating. Because even if it's annoying, the aim is to try and kind of leave all the noise behind, So that's. I hope it wasn't too annoying. But, yeah. Well, thank you very much for. Thank you.